Hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we're doing the first recipe from the Gingerbread Cookie Murder. It is called Gingerbread Cookies. So it is kind of a long recipe, and it does have two sets of ingredients, one for a cookie and one for an icing. So the first thing to note is these will be chilling for a minimum of 6 to 8 hours overnight. So Sally makes these for the Christmas buffet at the Lake Eden Inn. But for the cookie part yourself, you're going to want 1 cup softened butter, 2 sticks, 1 cup of white sugar, half a cup of hot strong coffee, 2/3 cup dark molasses, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 2.5 teaspoons of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of ground cloves. It says I'm not fond of cloves, so I leave these out. A teaspoon of cinnamon, 4 3/4 cups all-purpose flour. And then, of course, you're going to do your normal mixing of the ingredients. Cover it, chill it, bring it back out, preheat your oven to 375, roll it, stamp out your cookies. And then you're going to bake them on ungreased cookie sheets. It does say to dip your cookie cutter in flour before you cut them. Use a spatula to move your cookies from your counter to your cookie sheet. Helpful. If there's dough left over, re-roll it. I've done this up to 3 times before the dough is too stiff. It does say if you want to use colored sugar or sprinkles to decorate, put it on now before baking. Press it down just a little bit with your fingers or a spatula. I've never seen that because you would think the sprinkles would melt. Bake a 1/4 inch thick cookies at 375 for 10 to 12 minutes. Leave on the thing for a minute. Transfer it to a wire rack. Bake 1/8 of an inch cookies at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes. It also says if you hate to roll out cookies, you can get a really sturdy scooper and scoop them instead and bake those at 350. Doesn't really say how long to bake them for. I would assume it's like 10 minutes. But it also mentions rolling those in white sugar first. And you are going to spray those sheets. Yeah, scoop them out, roll them in sugar. Bake at 350 for no more than 8 minutes. And then it's got a cookie icing recipe. You're going to want 2 cups of sifted sugar, confectioner sugar, powdered sugar, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and a 1/4 cup of cream. And you're just going to mix those together until it is a consistency that you can use a frosting knife or a brush to paint the cookies you've baked. Yield 3 to 4 dozen cookies made with small cutters, 2 to 3 dozen cookies made with large cookie cutters, and 8 to 10 dozen dough ball cookies. So with that, let's get started. This is everything we're going to need to bake these cookies and the frosting. So first thing we're doing is butter and sugar in the bowl. Push everything to the bottom again. Now we're going to add our coffee. It does not seem to be mixing in. Moving on. Molasses. Next, we have our baking soda, our salt, the cinnamon, the cloves, and the ginger. Last thing to go in is our flour in 1/2 cup increments. The last thing we do before we're going to put this into the fridge for X amount of hours is we are going to give it one final by hand stir, and it does recommend it by the books, so all that's left is to cover and chill. I'll see y'all guys in about 6 hours.
So it's been about 6 hours. It does recommend working with a 1/4 at a time, so I'll take out a 1/4 and I'll put the rest back in the fridge. Remember, you need to preheat to 375. So it probably won't be you get to see everything. I'll probably just bake it as I go. It It just seems like it's going to be that kind of thing. But I will give you final numbers at the end for how many cookies you can get. So, to get started, actually, it is very solid. I don't think this is going to help much. Try something else. Not looking forward to having to roll this out, actually. Holy moly. If you don't need 8 hours, or even 6 hours, for it to blend the flavors, I'm not quite sure I'd give it this long. I can barely get my fingers into this. Like, it is full on finger strength to get out of this bowl. Cover the rest back up and pop back in the fridge. Actually, I'm not going to pop this back in the fridge. It does not need to get any stiffer. So we're just going to leave that there, I guess. Alright, move stuff in the glaze. It's over there. Actually, I think I'm supposed to have this flour with this. Yeah, I'm supposed to have flour down. So call me crazy, but a quarter does not look like it's going to give you very much. I'm going to have to pull out the other one just to get some stuff done. Otherwise, it's going to take many, many times to do this. Okay. Not much flour in this bowl. That didn't work. Alright, so we'll do it this way. Essentially, you're just going to rinse and repeat, and I will see you in a little bit.
Okay, so we finally finished baking them. We got 56 cookies, which I believe is a little bit more than 4 dozen. 4.5, I think. So now it is time for the icing, and we're just going to add everything into the mixer. Powdered sugar, the salt, the vanilla, and the cream. Right. So that is very, very stiff. So I'm just going to keep pouring in the cream till we get it to where we want it. And that's going to be our icing. I'm not quite sure the best way to hold this so you don't get it all over your fingers. Right, I'm just going to do the rest of them and I'll see you back here in a little bit. And here are the finished cookies, all nice and baked and iced. The icing is still a little bit wet, but it actually is really tasty. I did have a little bit left over, so if you did smaller cookies and you needed to ice more, totally do that. But I think I'm going to take his head. You remind me of the ones you get in that little package from Little Debbie at Christmas time. They do take a really long time to make because you have to chill them. Plus the rolling and the cutting and the icing. So overall, they do take a really long time to make. This is definitely a specialty holiday kind of thing. But they are really good. With that being said, next week we will be making Hannah's favorite chocolate mousse. I love those ones. So if you're interested in seeing that, join us next week. I hope you'll have a good one. Bye guys.